Dr. Emily Roberts smoothed down her blue uniform and took a deep breath. Through the large windows of the meeting room, she could see 3 moons hanging in the purple sky of the neutral planet. This was humanity's biggest moment, their first meeting with the Galactic Council. The doors slid open with a soft hiss. 12 alien representatives walked in, each different from the other. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few glowed softly in the dim light. Emily stood straighter, remembering she wasn't just a scientist today. She was speaking for all of Earth. Captain Michael Harrison stood beside her, his military uniform crisp and neat. He looked calm, but Emily noticed him tapping his finger against his leg, a habit he had when he was nervous. "Welcome, representatives of Earth," said the tallest alien. Its voice came through their translation devices clearly. "We have watched your species develop faster than light travel with great interest, but we must warn you of a terrible danger in our galaxy." Emily and Michael shared a quick look. They had expected trade talks or territory discussions, not warnings. "What kind of danger?" Michael asked, leaning forward slightly. The alien pressed a button, and a large screen came to life behind them. On it appeared a massive creature, dark as space itself. It looked like a mix between a whale and a wolf, but bigger than any spaceship Emily had ever seen. Its body seemed to bend space around it, and stars disappeared where it moved. "We call them shadow beasts," another council member said. Its voice shook slightly. "They have destroyed more ships and colonies than we can count. Every species here has lost people to them. They cannot be reasoned with. They cannot be fought. They cannot be stopped." Emily watched the video with growing interest. The creature's movements weren't random. They'd followed a pattern, like a dance. As a xenobiologist, she saw something the others had missed. The shadow beast wasn't attacking in the video. It was defending itself. "Has anyone ever tried to understand them?" she asked. "Study their behavior, learn their patterns." The council members looked at her as if she had suggested eating rocks. "Understand them." A small, furry alien laughed nervously. "Young human, these are monsters. They are space itself turned against us. We have lost our best warriors to them." Michael stepped forward. "On Earth, we have a long history of working with dangerous animals. We turned wolves into dogs. We learned to ride horses. We study sharks, tigers, and bears. Sometimes, what looks dangerous just needs to be understood. This is different." The tall alien insisted. "We strongly advise marking their territory as forbidden in your star charts. Stay away from the outer rim sectors, especially the Darkwind region. No ship that has gone there has ever returned." Emily was already taking notes on her tablet. The council had just given them the exact location where they could find these creatures. As a scientist, she couldn't ignore such an opportunity. "We appreciate your warning," Michael said diplomatically. "Earth will consider your advice carefully." Later, as they walked back to their ship, Emily turned to Michael with excitement in her eyes. "You're thinking what I'm thinking, aren't you?" Michael grinned. "The ESS Pioneer is perfect for an expedition to the Darkwind region. If these shadow beasts are animals, even big space living ones, they can be studied, and no one's ever really tried. The Council is terrified of them," Emily said, looking through her notes. "But fear often comes from not understanding. Those movement patterns I saw in the video, they reminded me of whale songs, just in space." "I'll start picking a crew," Michael said. "We'll need the best, and people who aren't afraid to think differently." "The Council won't like it," Emily warned, but she was smiling. Michael shrugged. "Humans have a habit of doing what everyone thinks is impossible. Besides, imagine what we could learn from creatures that can bend space naturally." As they boarded their ship, Emily felt a thrill of excitement. While the Council saw monsters, she saw a chance to understand something new. That was the human way. Not to run from the unknown, but to reach out and try to understand it. The ESS Pioneer would launch in a week, and despite all the warnings, despite all the fear, They would be the first to try something different. They would be the first to try to understand the shadow beasts. The ESS Pioneer floated silently through the darkness of the Darkwind region. The ship's lights were dimmed to better see the stars around them. First Officer Rachel Thompson stood at her station, watching the energy readings on her screen with great interest. "Captain Harrison," she called out, "I'm picking up something strange. It looks like waves, but in space, almost like whale songs, just like Dr. Roberts predicted." Captain Michael Harrison walked over to her station. The waves on the screen moved in beautiful patterns, unlike anything they had seen before. "Can you play the signals through the ship's speakers?" he asked. Rachel pressed a few buttons, and soon the bridge filled with deep, haunting sounds. They reminded Michael of whale songs he had heard on Earth, but these were different. They seemed to touch something deep in his chest, making him feel both peaceful and sad at the same time. Dr. Emily Roberts rushed onto the bridge, her eyes wide with excitement. "Those sounds," she said, "they're exactly what I thought we'd find. The shadow beasts aren't just animals. They're trying to communicate." Suddenly, all the screens on the bridge flashed red. "Large object detected," Rachel announced. "It's moving fast toward our position." Through the main window, they saw it. A young shadow beast. It was smaller than the one they had seen in the Council's video, but still bigger than their ship. Its body looked like a piece of space had come alive. Stars seemed to bend around it as it moved. But something was wrong. The creature wasn't moving smoothly like in the video. It seemed to be struggling, rolling in space in an odd way. "Look there," Dr. Roberts pointed at something shining on the creature's side. "Those look like old weapon marks. It's hurt." Captain Harrison made a quick decision. "This is exactly why we came here. Rachel, keep the ship steady. Emily, get your medical team ready. We're going to help it." "But sir," one of the crew members said, "the Council said these creatures can't be reasoned with. They're killers." "Look at it," Harrison said firmly. "Does that look like a killer to you? That's an injured young animal, probably scared and in pain. We help those in need. That's what humans do." Dr. Roberts was already calling her team. They had brought special medical equipment, hoping they might get a chance to study a shadow beast up close. Now they had a chance to save one instead. Rachel kept watching her screens. "The energy patterns are changing," she reported. "They're becoming faster, more irregular. I think it's calling for help." "Then we need to work fast," Harrison said, "before its family arrives and misunderstands what we're trying to do." The crew moved quickly but carefully. They had trained for this, even though everyone had told them it was impossible. The ESS Pioneer slowly moved closer to the injured creature. Its dark body rippled like silk in space, and up close, they could see patterns moving across its skin like stars in the night sky. "It's beautiful," Dr. Roberts whispered, staring at the screen showing close-up views of the creature. All this time, everyone was too afraid to see just how beautiful they are. The young shadow beast turned its massive head toward their ship. They could feel its eyes on them, even though they couldn't see them. The deep space songs continued, but they were softer now, almost questioning. "We're about to do something no one in the galaxy has ever done," Captain Harrison said to his crew. "We're going to help the shadow beast. Let's show the galaxy that humanity doesn't let fear stop us from doing what's right." The creature floated before them, hurt but curious. The medical team prepared their equipment, and in the darkness of space, humans were about to prove once again that kindness could bridge any gap, even one as wide as the space between species. Dr. James Miller had worked with many animals on Earth, from tiny cats to huge elephants, but nothing had prepared him for trying to help an animal the size of a small moon. He stood in the Pioneer's medical bay, looking at his tools and taking deep breaths. "The scans show 3 deep wounds on its side," he told his team. "They look like old energy weapon marks. Someone tried to hurt it, probably years ago." Security Chief Robert Walker stood nearby, watching the massive creature through the window. "How do we even get close enough to help it?" he asked. "One wrong move and it could crush our ship without even trying." "With trust," James said simply. He pressed a button on his control panel, sending out low-frequency vibrations into space. These were similar to the sounds they had heard the creature making earlier. Animals know when you're trying to help them, even scared ones. The young shadow beast turned its huge head toward their vibrations. Its body, dark as night but sparkled with tiny lights like stars, moved slightly closer to their ship. The crew held their breath. "Look at that," Dr. Emily Roberts whispered in excitement. "It understands we're trying to talk to it." James kept sending out gentle vibrations. On Earth, he had used similar methods to calm injured whales. The creature moved even closer, until it was right next to their ship. Up close, they could see that its wounds glowed with a faint purple light. "I think we should give it a name," James said suddenly. "We can't keep calling it the creature or it. That's what the Council does. We're trying to do something different." Captain Harrison nodded. "You're right. Any suggestions?" "Atlas," James said after a moment. "In Earth's old stories, Atlas carried the weight of the sky. This one seems to carry the stars with it." The newly named Atlas made a low humming sound that they felt through the ship's walls. It wasn't aggressive. It almost seemed pleased. "All right," James said, checking his equipment one last time. "We need to get out there and help Atlas. The wounds are old, but they're still hurting it. That's probably why it's alone out here." The medical team put on their special spacesuits. These suits were designed to work in deep space, with extra shields to protect them from any strange energy the shadow beast might give off. They carried tools and healing materials that Dr. Roberts had created specially for this mission. As they floated out toward Atlas, James kept sending out calming vibrations. The huge creature watched them, but didn't move away. Its body rippled like dark water, stars seeming to flow across its skin. "Easy now," James said softly, even though Atlas couldn't hear his words. "We're here to help." When they got close to the first wound, they saw how bad it was. The old weapon had left a deep mark that still burned with strange energy. But James and his team knew what to do. They had studied every kind of injury they might find. They worked carefully but quickly. Atlas stayed surprisingly still, as if it knew they were trying to help. The healing material they used glowed with a soft blue light as it cleaned and sealed the wounds. The Council was so wrong about them, Emily said over their radio. "Atlas isn't a monster. It's intelligent and gentle. It just needed someone to give it a chance." As they finished treating the last wound, Atlas made a sound that shook their suits with its power. But it wasn't an angry sound. It reminded James of the happy rumble a cat makes when it's content. "Mission Control," James called back to the ship. "I think we just made a friend." In the darkness of space, surrounded by stars, humans had just done what the entire galaxy had thought impossible. They hadn't conquered the unconquerable beast. They had helped it. And in doing so, they had changed everything. 3 days had passed since the rescue, and Atlas hadn't left the ESS Pioneer's side. The massive shadow beast followed the ship like a friendly dolphin, sometimes spinning slowly in space to show its healed wounds to Dr. Miller. "The healing is amazing," James told Dr. Emily Roberts as they watched Atlas through the observation deck's window. "The wounds that probably hurt for years are almost gone now." Emily nodded, not taking her eyes off the creature. "But that's not even the most exciting part," she said. "Look at this." She showed James her tablet, which displayed colorful patterns of light and energy. "Atlas isn't just making sounds," she explained. "It's creating complex patterns of light and energy too. These aren't random. They're a language." Lieutenant Amanda Foster, the ship's communication expert, joined them at the window. She had been working day and night to understand Atlas's way of talking. "Watch this," she said with excitement. Amanda pressed some buttons on her console, sending out a pattern of lights and low sounds into space. Atlas immediately responded with a similar pattern, adding some new variations. It's like a conversation, Amanda explained. When we send happy, calm patterns, Atlas sends them back, but adds more. It's not just copying, it's trying to teach us more words. Just then, Atlas did something new. It moved very close to the window and slowly changed the patterns on its skin. The dark surface lit up with countless tiny lights, moving in waves and spirals. "It's beautiful," James whispered. The lights reminded him of the northern lights on Earth, but even more magical. Captain Harrison walked onto the observation deck, smiling at his crew's excitement. "How's our new friend doing today?" he asked. "Better than we ever hoped," Emily answered. "Atlas is highly intelligent, Captain. Maybe even as smart as us, just in a different way. And it has emotions too. Watch this." She pressed a button, playing back the sound patterns they had recorded when they first found Atlas hurt. The creature's lights dimmed slightly, showing it remembered the pain. Then Emily played the sounds from after they had helped heal it. Atlas's body lit up with bright, happy patterns. "It understands past and future," Amanda added. "It can feel sad, happy, curious, and grateful." All those years, the council thought these were just mindless monsters. As if understanding it was being talked about, Atlas moved closer to the window. It curved its massive body around the ship in what they had learned was a protective gesture. The crew had started calling it Atlas Hug. "The big question is," Captain Harrison said, "what do we do with all this new knowledge? The council won't believe us without proof." "Actually," James said slowly, "I think Atlas might help us with that. Look there." He pointed to the dark space behind their new friend. In the distance, they could see strange movements in space. Stars seemed to bend and shift, just like they did around Atlas. But these movements were much bigger. "More shadow beasts?" Harrison asked, moving closer to the window. "I think," Emily said with growing excitement, "that might be Atlas's family. And Atlas has been telling them about us. Look at the energy patterns. They're all talking to each other." Amanda quickly checked her instruments. "The patterns are similar to Atlas's, but much stronger, and they don't show any signs of aggression. They're curious." The crew watched in wonder as more shapes became visible in the distance. Atlas had indeed been communicating with its kind, telling them about the humans who had helped instead of hurt. "Well," Captain Harrison said with a smile, "looks like we're about to have more company. And this time, thanks to Atlas, they're coming as friends, not monsters." The ESS Pioneer's crew had done more than heal one injured creature. They had opened the door to understanding an entire species that the galaxy had feared for centuries. And this was just the beginning. The massive adult shadow beast appeared like a moving piece of night sky. It was 3 times larger than Atlas, and its approach made the ESS Pioneer look tiny in comparison. The crew stood frozen at their stations, watching the huge creature draw near. "Atlas doesn't seem scared," Dr. James Miller said, watching their young friend. "Look at its light patterns. They're excited." Atlas swam through space toward the larger shadow beast, its body glowing with bright, happy colors. The two creatures met in a graceful dance of starlight and shadow, their bodies moving in perfect harmony. "The energy readings are off the charts," First Officer Rachel Thompson reported from her station. "But they're not dangerous. They're beautiful, like a light show in space." Lieutenant Amanda Foster worked quickly at her communication station. "I'm picking up their conversation," she said. "The patterns are similar to Atlas's but much more complex. I think this might be Atlas's parent." Captain Harrison watched carefully. This was the moment that would either prove everything they believed about the shadow beasts or end very badly. "Dr. Roberts, what do you think?" Emily Roberts was already recording everything with her scientific equipment. "Look at how they move together," she said excitedly. "It's just like how whale mothers greet their calves on Earth. This is definitely Atlas's parent." The crew decided to name the adult shadow beast Aurora because its body shimmered with colors like the northern lights on Earth. Aurora moved closer to the ship, its massive form casting a gentle shadow over them. "Don't move," Captain Harrison ordered calmly. "Let them come to us, just like we did with Atlas." Aurora studied the ship carefully, while Atlas swam excited patterns around both of them. The young shadow beast was clearly trying to tell its parent about the humans who had helped heal its wounds. James stepped closer to the window. "Look there," he pointed. "Aurora has old scars too, much older than Atlas's wounds. The Council and their weapons, they've been hurting these creatures for generations." Amanda's console lit up with new patterns. "Aurora is trying to communicate with us," she announced. "The patterns, they're different from Atlas, more formal, more careful, but not aggressive at all." The Galactic Council's investigation ship arrived with its lights flashing red. It was bigger than the ESS Pioneer and covered in defensive weapons. The Council's senior diplomat, whose name was too long for humans to say, stood at its command center looking worried. "Captain Harrison," the diplomat called through the communication system, "your ship must leave immediately. You are in grave danger. Our sensors show 2 shadow beasts nearby." Michael Harrison smiled calmly at the screen. "We know they're here," he said. "In fact, we'd like you to meet them. Atlas, Aurora, would you mind showing yourselves?" The council members gasped as Atlas and Aurora moved into view of their ship's cameras. The 2 shadow beasts weren't attacking. They were floating peacefully next to the Pioneer, their bodies glowing with gentle patterns of light. "Impossible," the diplomat whispered. "How are you controlling them?" "We're not controlling them." Dr. Emily Roberts stepped forward. "We're talking with them. They're intelligent, emotional beings. Look at this evidence we've collected." Emily sent the council ship all their recordings. The videos showed Atlas being healed, learning to communicate, and finally reuniting with Aurora. She also sent the data showing how the shadow beasts could sense things in space that even the best ships couldn't detect. But they've destroyed so many ships," another council member argued. "We have records going back centuries." "About that," James Miller spoke up. "Atlas and Aurora showed us something you need to see. Captain, can we take them to the ancient hunting grounds?" Harrison nodded. Both ships followed as Atlas and Aurora led them to a different part of space. There, floating in the darkness, were hundreds of old weapons and broken ships. But something was strange about them. "Look at the damage patterns," Emily pointed out. These ships weren't destroyed by shadow beasts attacking them. They were destroyed by weapons firing at the shadow beasts. Every broken ship here was a hunter, not a victim. The council members went quiet as they studied the evidence. The weapons were clearly designed to hurt shadow beasts. Some were even still active after all these years, which explained why Atlas had been injured. The shadow beasts were defending themselves, Lieutenant Amanda Foster explained. "When ships came to hurt them, they fought back. But when we came to help them, they became our friends." As if to prove her point, Atlas swam closer to the council ship, creating beautiful patterns of light. Aurora followed, showing them the same peaceful greeting it had shown the Pioneer. "This changes everything," the diplomat said slowly. "All these years, we thought they were monsters. But we were the ones attacking them first. They want to be friends," Captain Harrison said. "They've been trying to talk to us for centuries, but everyone was too afraid to listen. Watch this." He nodded to Amanda, who sent out the special greeting patterns they had learned. Atlas and Aurora responded with their own patterns, creating a beautiful light show in space. Even the council members couldn't help but be amazed. "They can teach us so much," Emily added. "They understand space in ways our best scientists never imagined. And they want to share that knowledge with us." The council ship's lights changed from red to green, showing they no longer saw danger. The diplomat looked at the humans with new respect. "Your species has achieved something remarkable," they said. "You've turned our greatest fear into a chance for peace. The council will need to rethink many things." As they watched Atlas playfully swim around both ships, humans and council members alike realized that a new age was beginning. The story of the terrible shadow beasts was ending, and a new story of friendship and understanding was taking its place. 1 month after the council's visit, the ESS Pioneer's crew worked harder than ever. Lieutenant Amanda Foster hadn't slept properly in days, but she couldn't stop smiling as she worked on her latest project. "I think we've done it," she told Dr. Miller and Dr. Roberts. "With Atlas and Aurora's help, we've created a complete translation system for Shadow Beast communication." The translation matrix glowed on her screen, showing patterns of light and energy that matched with different meanings. It was like a dictionary, but instead of words, it used colors, movements, and space vibrations. "It's amazing how much they want to teach us," James said, watching Atlas demonstrate another pattern outside the ship's window. "They're just as curious about us as we are about them." Emily nodded, adding more notes to her research. "And look at this," she said, pointing to her screen. "The patterns they use for friend and family are almost the same. They see us as part of their family now." Captain Harrison called a meeting in the ship's main room. Representatives from Earth joined through video call, along with members of the Galactic Council. Atlas and Aurora floated outside the large windows, their bodies creating gentle light shows. "The translation matrix is ready," Amanda announced to everyone. "We can now understand most of what the Shadow Beasts want to tell us, and the first thing they want us to know is their real name for themselves." She pressed a button, and the translation matrix converted Atlas's patterns into words. The name appeared on all screens: Star Singers. "That's what they call themselves," Amanda explained, "because they sing with light and energy through the stars. They've been trying to share their songs with us for centuries." The council members looked ashamed. "All this time," one said, "we thought their space songs were weapon signals. We were so wrong." James stepped forward. "Aurora has shown us the locations of all Star Singer families in the galaxy. They don't want to hide anymore. They want to be friends with everyone, just like they are with us." Captain Harrison displayed a map of the galaxy. Gentle blue lights showed where the Star Singers lived. "We propose a treaty," he said. "These areas will be protected spaces where Star Singers can live freely. Ships can pass through, but only if they follow peaceful rules. The Star Singers will help ships travel safely through their space," Emily added. "They can sense space storms and dangerous areas that our instruments can't detect. They want to protect others, not hurt them." Atlas moved closer to the window, creating a complex pattern of lights. Amanda quickly translated. "We sing peace to all who want to listen." The Earth representatives looked impressed. One of them spoke up. "This is more than we ever hoped for. Not only have we made peace with them, but they're offering to help make space travel safer for everyone." The council members discussed among themselves, then made their decision. "We agree to the treaty," they announced. "The areas will be protected, and we will teach all our people the truth about the Star Singers." Aurora created a bright, beautiful pattern that the translation matrix showed as, "The dark times are over. Now we sing together." The humans had done more than make peace. They had helped the Star Singers share their true nature with the galaxy. These creatures weren't monsters to be feared. They were gentle guardians of space who wanted to help everyone. "There's one more thing," Amanda said, smiling. "Atlas and Aurora have invited us to learn their space songs. They want to teach humans how to sing with light and energy like they do." As the meeting ended, Atlas and Aurora began a new song together. Their bodies created waves of light that danced through space, telling a story of fear turned to friendship, of darkness turned to light. The treaty wasn't just a piece of paper. It was the beginning of a new age where humans, Star Singers, and all other species could share the galaxy in peace. 1 year had passed since the first meeting with Atlas. The space station, Harmony Point, floated at the edge of Star Singer territory, its large windows giving a perfect view of the stars. Dr. James Miller stood at one of these windows, smiling as he watched Atlas swim through space. The young star singer had grown bigger and stronger. The scars from its old wounds were completely gone now. Atlas still loved visiting the humans, especially the space station where many ships came to learn about its kind. Atlas is teaching the new students again, Dr. Emily Roberts said, joining James at the window. They watched as a group of young human and alien scientists followed Atlas's movements, learning to understand the star singer's language of light and energy. "Remember when everyone thought they were monsters?" James asked, shaking his head. "Now they're our best teachers about space." The translation matrix that Lieutenant Amanda Foster had created was now standard equipment on all ships. It helped everyone talk with the star singers, making space travel safer than ever before. "Ship approaching," the station's computer announced. Through the window, they saw a cargo ship appear. Above it, Aurora glided gracefully, guiding the ship through a safe path. The star singers could sense dangerous space storms long before any equipment could detect them. "That's the 10th ship Aurora has guided safely this week," Emily said, making notes on her tablet. The shipping companies love having star singer guides. No ship with a star singer guide has ever had an accident. Captain Michael Harrison, now Admiral Harrison, walked onto the observation deck. He had been promoted for his role in making peace with the star singers. "The council is coming today," he announced. "They want to see how well the partnership is working." As if on cue, Atlas swam closer to the station, creating excited patterns of light. The young star singer had grown into a bridge between species, helping everyone understand each other better. "Look who else is coming," Amanda called from her communication station. Through the windows, they could see more star singers appearing. Their huge bodies moved through space like living constellations, each one glowing with unique patterns. "They're all coming to greet the council," James realized. "They want to show how much things have changed." The council ship arrived, much friendlier than it had been a year ago. As soon as it appeared, the star singers began their welcome song. Waves of light and energy moved through space, creating the most beautiful spacelight show anyone had ever seen. "This is what they were trying to show us all along," Emily said softly. "They weren't attacking ships. They were trying to share their songs with us. We were just too afraid to listen." The council members watched in amazement as Atlas led the other star singers in their dance. The patterns told stories of friendship, of peace, and of a future where all species work together. "Humanity has changed the galaxy," one council member said to Admiral Harrison. "You showed us that understanding is better than fear." Now the star singers protect and guide ships instead of being hunted by them. Amanda's translation matrix picked up a new message from Atlas. "The stars sing better when we all sing together." The space station had become a place where humans, aliens, and star singers could meet and learn from each other. Young star singers like Atlas came to teach, while ship's crews came to learn the star singer's special way of seeing space. As they watched the light show continue, James thought about how far they had come. One act of kindness, helping an injured young star singer, had changed everything. The monsters of space had turned out to be friends who were just waiting for someone to understand them. "What's next?" Emily asked, looking out at the stars and the beautiful creatures swimming through them. "Whatever it is," Admiral Harrison replied, "we'll face it together. That's what families do." Outside, Atlas created one last pattern of light, one that everyone had learned to understand. It meant hope. In the darkness of space, hope glowed brighter than ever before.